Hi, this is Regina Y. Favors coming to you with a Rebound relationship series titled Understanding Relationship Failure 10 Reasons. This is going to be a collective lecture, and it is divided into multiple videos. So you will need to listen to the first part, the second, the third, and so on. So, understanding relationship failure is important because if you don't take the time to self assess what went wrong with the relationship, you are doomed to repeat the same types of mistakes. Understanding relationship failure also points to the fact that most relationships fail oftentimes with our contribution, but it could also be that you just really chose the wrong person, or the person was just not ready to be in relationship, or the person could have chosen you as maybe a fallback plan until they were able to marry someone else. So I want you to take some time to listen to the full series. If you have any questions, please leave a comment and I will respond. Also, take some time to hit the subscription button and then hit the notification bell if you are interested in further videos. Thank you for visiting the channel. So this lecture is subject to fair use. So I will be commenting, criticizing, teaching, and pursuing scholarship using this lecture. So reason number 2 is already committed, and what this basically suggests that the reason why a person might have married another person was typically they were using you possibly as a rebound. So they were already really committed to someone else. That person decided not to come around, or procrastinated in reconciling with the partner, and then once that person decided to come back around, then the partner left you and went back. So reason number 2, already committed on the rebound. So engagement in new, repairing self-esteem. When there is a relationship termination, instead of waiting and reflecting on the relationship, people often create and enter rebound relationships. So there's an issue in the core relationship. There's an issue in the main relationship. The main relationship could be a married partnership. It could be a long-term cohabitation partnership, but there's a problem in the relationship, and two parties to that main or core relationship are struggling with resolving their problems or their conflict. And what people often do is leave that relationship and go and enter another one for a short term. The problem with that is they don't reveal to the new partner that person is a rebound. Of course, no one would ever do anything like that, but it might solve a lot of confusion if the partner was just clear that the new relationship is not a relationship that's actually going to transition into a long-term relationship. A person could easily say, I'm just dating, right? So one of the researchers, Pierce, in the rebound effect, the use of short-term mating strategies after the dissolution of a significant loving relationship, suggests that one of the most effective ways of repairing self-esteem is to prove oneself worthy and capable of successfully obtaining a new partner. And that's why the author is essentially pushing rebound relationships in a way to sort of repair that self-esteem that is lost. Usually when someone ends a relationship or the relationship is ended on their behalf, there's a self-esteem issue, and you feel like a loser in that moment. So people are more inclined to kind of pull at something that will help them to to be a winner. Like, if a partner is saying that they have a problem with you, and then you go and look for someone else, that new partner is not saying that they have a problem with you, right? And so that helps with your self-esteem. I don't agree with pursuing rebound relationships, but it is the research. This means that engaging in a rebound relationship shortly after a relationship termination is an obvious strategy for resolving anxiety and preventing depression. So you are highly anxious when you end a relationship or get out of a relationship, but there's a process that leads to depression. And what Pierce is suggesting is that to prevent depression, enter another relationship to repair self-esteem. So following a breakup, people will change their mating criteria by lowering their standards to pursue a short-term strategy. This means that they will change their desired partner characteristics, but not their long-term partner preferences. So, for example, a rebound relationship is essentially a short-term strategy. There is a desired partner characteristic there is a difference between a desired partner characteristic and a long-term partner preference. So you may have a person who still wants to marry and have a family, but the person from the core relationship is just not ready. And then conflict ensues. So what the partner would do is exit that relationship for a short term and pursue someone with desired partner characteristics as a short-term mating strategy until the partner from the core relationship comes back around. The desired partner characteristics are those types of desires that could be short-term. Maybe the partner is not getting sex as a result of the breakup. And so the partner will go to a bar, meet someone, have a one-night stand. Okay, that fulfills a short-term strategy, that fulfills the desired partner characteristic, the person who can fulfill short-term relational needs that are discussed in the previous audio, but they will not change their long-term partner preference. So that person that they are broken up with at the moment is still the person that they actually want to marry, because that person fulfills long-term partner preferences. What this means is that people will enter a rebound relationship to meet immediate short-term relational needs, but they will not change partner preferences for marriage or other long-term relationships. Men in particular will pursue superficial traits such as beauty, youth, and resources are those valued in a partner with whom an individual has no long-term commitment yet receives sexual access. So access to sex is always a contributing factor for why a partner would either step out on their current partner or step out on a partner that they are broken up with. And that's those desired partner characteristics that reflect a short-term strategy. So anxious attachment. The goal to change one's mating strategy for a rebound relationship is centered on the idea of resolving anxious attachment to the ex-partner and embracing optimism for finding a new partner. So the reason why Pierce is suggesting that a rebound relationship might repair self-esteem is in line with what you see Spielman, McDonald, and Wilson suggesting. They conclude on the rebound, focusing on someone new helps anxiously attached individuals let go of ex-partners, that finding a new partner by pursuing a rebound relationship can help people detach from an ex-partner. Now, where they are different is Pierce is suggesting that it could repair self-esteem, and that entering these types of relationships, whether short-term or long-term, might help the person prevent depression. What these three authors are suggesting is that if there is no chance of the relationship being repaired, then the more anxiety a person feels after the breakup, the more likelihood that person will continue to hang on to the relationship and not seek anything else. And so they are suggesting that by pursuing a rebound relationship, this can help a partner, to detach from an ex-partner, to detach from a possibly toxic relationship. The goal would be adaptation to a possibly fully functioning relationship. And our souls need function, not dysfunction. Even if we are more inclined to pull at and sustain toxic relationships, our soul cannot live long term with toxicity. And so they are suggesting then that pursuing a rebound relationship then would help one person to let go and detach emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, financially from an ex-partner. Anxious attachment is a very common concept. It is perpetuated by John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth, and I'm going to get into Mary Ainsworth a little later. But John Bowlby outlines the caregiver-child relationship, which is reflected in the feeling a child experiences when separated from their parent or caregiver, and the corresponding ambivalence towards that parent. Remember, a lot of our interactions with people has a lot to do with our upbringing, our relationships within the family environment, and our relationships between our mothers and fathers, and our relationships with our mothers and fathers. When a young child finds himself with strangers and without his familiar parent figures, not only is he intensely distressed at the time, but his subsequent relationship with his parents is impaired, at least temporarily. The separation affects their capacity to make and maintain affectional bonds. Bowlby is synonymous with attachment theory. However, it is Mary Ainsworth who defined anxious attachment under three dimensions. And so I talked about in the previous audio where men are shocked and upset and surprised and vulnerable after the termination of a relationship. And it might have its roots in that man's or male child's relationship with his mother or father. So Mary Ainsworth noticed that babies began to move away from their mothers to explore the surroundings once they were able to crawl and walk. And she called this a secure base. So Ainsworth hypothesized that babies use their mothers as a secure base as a means of departing and returning to their mothers after explorations of the world surrounding them. The base was considered secure because the babies knew they could return to their mothers if they should become anxious. You know, if you take this secure base hypothesis and you apply it to sort of like the adult marriage, right? You have two married partners, and you always ask this question, or you always hear this question: why is it that a man who cheats on his wife always returns to his wife? Why is it that a female always calls back that person she can depend on? Well, I think a lot of it has to do with that secure base. They feel that they could always depend on that person, so they still go out and explore and cheat and lie and con, but they know they can always go back to a person that they trust. Ainsworth also noticed that anxious babies seem to be the offspring of anxious mothers. She noticed that mothers separated from their husbands or families experienced more stress and seem to pass it on to their infants. Remember what I talked about in the previous audio, that women are not just aggressive just to be aggressive. A lot of their need to be masculine or exhibit masculinity is rooted in their relationships with their mothers. Their mothers were probably single mothers. They had to take care of the home, take care of the children, keep a job, make sure the children had everything they need. And as a result, they grew more anxious, more angry, more bitter, more aggressive, and therefore more masculine. Ainsworth developed 3 types of attachment behaviors. So the following question guided the research: why are mothers so full of ambivalence? So through this particular strange situation, she conducted an observation. The types of attachment are based upon the research conclusions that followed regarding the strange situation in which the responses of babies were observed. So the baby had access to engaging toys. The mother was nearby. A stranger entered the room and the baby's response was noted. The mother left the room with the baby and the stranger. The baby's response was noted. Then the baby's response was noted when the mother returned to the room. Those responses were also noted. Ainsworth concluded that the baby exhibited 3 types of attachment. So that is secure attachment, anxious ambivalent insecure attachment, anxious avoidant insecure attachment. So a securely attached child is one who exhibits the following attachment behaviors. And I encourage you to kind of watch babies from now on, especially with their parents. So this securely attached child will explore environments with enthusiasm, walk about, crawl about, climb on things, right? Checks back with the secure base mother, father, or primary caregiver, engages with strangers when mother is nearby, cries when mother leaves the room, and happily reunites when mother returns. You kind of see that dynamic in the adult marriage, adult long-term relationship when there's infidelity and there is an affair partner, and then when the mate returns to the home, there is a reuniting with each other. Develops a sense of security that allows the child to cope with problems and adapt well to unfamiliar situations. Parents are responsive to securely attached infants and sensitive to infants' needs. And then a securely attached child is comfortable and confident. You know, it's funny how when you look at people today, and they talk about their childhood, and while they are talking, you're thinking about your toxic childhood, and you just wonder why they are like they are. They have some sort of comfort, confidence, security in themselves. I'm not saying they don't always have problems, but I'm saying it's kind of different in the way that they were brought up, and we might call it privileged if we place our observation of that person on a race level. But it also could be if it was just in an all-race home and you see that person as an adult and they just seem to have some sort of security. They talk about their relationships with their mother or their father as being really a good relationship, and then you compare or contrast it with the relationship you had with your mother and father, and it was nothing like that. And so I think that second to the last bullet point: parents are responsive to securely attached infants and sensitive to infants' needs. That is something that goes with that infant to childhood to adolescent to young adulthood to adulthood middle, that parent is responsive to their child in all areas of their life. And I think that is one of the contributing factors to why we might have conflict based relationships with others that might lead to that person sort of marrying another person. So then an anxious ambivalent child is insecurely attached. The child exhibits the following attachment behaviors. So the child will express distress when strangers are nearby and when they are in unfamiliar settings, whether the parent or caregiver is nearby or not. The child will, an anxious, ambivalent child will exhibit extreme anxiety and distress when the parent departs and resists reuniting when the parent returns. And then the parent responds to the child on his or her schedule rather than on the schedule of the infant. So the bolded part. The child exhibits anxiety and distress when the parent departs and then resists reuniting when the parent returns. You can see that in adult relationships. There doesn't necessarily have to be infidelity on both sides or on either side. Sometimes there could be just a fight and the person leaves the home for a walk and then comes back home and he or she wants to reunite, but the other partner refuses to reunite. Okay, they might be two people who come from an anxious ambivalent environment. And then also key is when the parent responds, and you'll see that also in adult relationships, right? Adult relationships you have with your partner, adult relationships you have with your friends, adult relationships you have in other areas, that your needs are not responded to. And if they are only responded to on that person's schedule. Even though, in contrast, when that person has a problem, you tend to respond to their needs quickly. And it might be something that you picked up as a strategy as a child, that when your mother yelled or you felt like you walked on eggshells, you had to respond. You had to keep your mouth closed as a way of responding as well. So it's that parent response. Then the anxious avoidant child is insecurely attached. The child exhibits the following attachment behavior. So shows little behavior indicating interest in the adults in the room, regardless of the type of adult. Avoids or ignores parents and primary caregivers, whether they are strangers or not. Strangers are not treated any differently than mothers or primary caregivers. Shows little emotional response or lacks affect, and they don't seem to believe that adults in their lives will respond to their signals of distress. These children come to believe that communication of their needs makes no difference at all, and that is me. I feel like I am the anxious avoidant child. I did not grow up in a secure home, and I might be anxious ambivalent in some ways, but I can definitely say that I don't believe communication of my needs will make a difference when it comes to my relationship with family, my relationship sort of with friends, with my parents. I don't feel that way. And it is actually true, and it has actually, manifested itself in a sense that the needs of a sibling will take a greater priority over the needs that I have in the moment. I'm the kind of person that parents treat certain children and leave them off to themselves out of a misinterpretation or misunderstanding that child does not need that parent. the good girl or the good boy, they need responses. They need responses. They are more likely to get into more mess with other people in other situations than the so-called fast child, right? The one that is kind of unruly. And so, in all respects, however, all children need a responsive parent. So, as adults, individuals suffering through an emotional disconnection develop and display maladaptive coping behaviors following a breakup, such as rumination, proximity seeking, and even stalking the ex-partner. Anxious attachment hinders adaptive acceptance of a breakup, as evidenced by heightened desires and attempts to regain the lost partner. That's why you see peers saying, if they seek a rebound relationship, it might help to repair their self-esteem. And then you see the other three authors saying that if you seek a rebound relationship, it might help that partner to detach from an ex-partner. Again, I don't necessarily agree with rebound relationships. They have been painful and toxic in my life, but I can understand the need of a partner to try to keep pulling at an ex-partner, right? The need of a man or the need of a woman to try to keep pulling at that ex-partner because the person is resisting reuniting. And again, that goes back to childhood. The adult partner that you see today, adult male or adult female, pulling at an ex-partner has probably a lot to do with that same person pulling at a mother who resisted them, who resisted responding to the person. To resolve anxiety, the research suggests that people can get the benefits of the rebound relationship, but without the relationship itself. So we all know that you're not going to marry your rebound or convert a rebound relationship into a long-term relationship. It's highly unlikely. I'm quite sure there are exceptions to the rule, but it's highly unlikely. So what I think Spielman is suggesting that maybe going out on a date, seeking a rebound and dating, while you are getting over the relationship. But we all know that the rebound relationship is really not going to convert. Focusing on a new relationship may help the person to develop an adaptive part of the breakup recovery process. So it puts the person in activity mode. They have understood that the relationship is not reconcilable, and so they know that they need to move forward. And so going back or getting back out on the dating scene might help them to be more psychologically adaptive or hopeful that they can form a new relationship. Although Spielman makes useful points about entering a rebound relationship to address emotional vulnerability and attachment issues, entering a rebound relationship is not productive long term. The emotions developed within the previous relationship can be projected onto the rebound relationship. One party never knows that he or she is a rebound. The possibility of one falling in love with the other while the partner desires to return to the ex-partner is a greater hindrance. This was my situation. I didn't know that I was a rebound. The person kept saying, my ex-partner kept saying that he was not with his ex-partner. I called her. She kept saying that she was not with my ex-partner. And so I just assumed that the relationship I had with my ex-partner was moving forward into relationship. I didn't know that I was a rebound at the time. We were just, sort of dating, if you could call it that. And I believed it was going to convert from, dating to long term. Well, he was all turned around in that relationship, and she resisted reuniting with him for the long term. She would call him, pull at him as part of her own coping mechanism, have sex, promise that they were going to get back together, but they never actually got back together. We ended up breaking up, and then he married someone else. People tend to cling to people who reject them. Clinging to a past partner might be more beneficial than adapting to a new one. It is called reconciliation. So that only works when both partners want to reconcile. But if they don't want to reconcile and the partner is pulling at that ex-partner, then it's a sign that we often pull at people who don't want us, who reject us. And it could be out of sport, it could be out of a number of things. If the previous partner has a better perceived partner uniqueness, and we talk about this in the reason number one, hastiness, and is a better investment than the rebound relationship, then the person is more likely to return to the ex-partner. This is the exception to the rule. That now it is provided that the ex-partner wants to reconcile. As long as the ex-partner wants to reconcile, then sure, there is a return. The person will always consider the investment made in a previous relationship. The partner who offers better relational needs and overall security will be a better consideration. Therefore, a person may return and marry an ex-partner simply because the person is a better investment. Now, I'm not saying they won't have coping issues, maladaptive coping issues, anxiety, anxiousness. They still might return to a partner that resists reuniting with them, meaning that the partner might still take them back because the partner is the provider. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the partner has really taken them back. The same issues that plagued the relationship in the beginning will continue to cycle. In the same way that a person can marry you legally, it does not necessarily mean that they have married you psychologically. All right, so hopefully you were able to gain insight from this video discussion. Please like, subscribe, and visit. So please like the video, hit the notification bell for more discussions. I am re-uploading all of my audios, so I needed to make some changes to them. You can visit my website for more content at reginayfavors.com. If you want to send me an email, you can send an email reginayfavors@yahoo.com. Please also purchase the book. It's going to come out in spring 2021. So I had to make changes to my book to update it, and I also updated the title. So the original title was Bait, Hook, and Switch: Confessions of a Rebound Girl, and I have updated the title to Toxic Encounters: Why People Pursue Rebound Relationships. So right now I'm still basically editing it, and I want to make it available in spring 2021. So thank you very much for visiting my channel, and I am Regina Y. Favors. Have a great day.